taxing. Yeah.
No problem.
I don't think you found it taxing. It was literally a conversation. It was flowing wherever we wanted it to flow. It was natural. You asked what you wanted to ask, and then I threw a few questions in there as well.
I think that people should take an interest in somebody else's belief rather than trying to say, oh, well, I'm right and that's that. You know what I mean? I'm not here to tell you that you're right or wrong. I'm here to listen to what you have to say.
Okay, my name's Zishan.
Zishan, I'm Catherine.
Catherine. Zishan, Catherine?
Zishan, sorry.
No, it's okay, sorry. So Catherine, I want you to slightly change your stance today for the benefit of this conversation. I want you, and I can take the punches, I want you to ask the questions that you genuinely believe to be uncomfortable, that you believe to be challenging, that you probably wouldn't ask the average Muslim unless, of course, they gave you the green flag, which I'm giving.
I mean, if it naturally comes, I'm never afraid to ask a question, to be honest with you. So I will ask a challenging question because at the end of the day, I want to be challenged.
Exactly.
I don't want to literally just be told, you know, I want my beliefs. Sorry. If I don't challenge my core belief, then I'm happy with it and I'm not interested in learning anything more, which means I think that I'm done.
Yes.
But I'm not done.
Absolutely.
I am a person that's here to learn.
And I think if many people embody that principle, they will grow and they will benefit so much from life.
Of course.
So
I'm only accountable for myself. I can't control you.
Absolutely.
I can't control your thoughts.
Absolutely.
I can't control who you are. But I can certainly control my own.
Absolutely. So Catherine, with God, or with regards to whenever you see design and everything around you, do you conclude that there is a God, or do you?
Yes, I do. I do have faith. Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
I believe that there is a power higher than I. Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that God came down in human form and died, or do you believe God sent messengers?
That's an interesting question. I think it depends on what you look. I mean, all the books. I personally believe that we're messengers. I think we all individually each are anyway, in our own way, with how we perceive things. If we kind of feel that the way that we live life and lead by example, I think we're all kind of got a divinity within us if we tap into it.
Okay. So in order for God to bridge that gap between his knowledge and our knowledge, how do you think he did it? Do you think he did it through books or messengers or both?
That's what religion has interpreted it as.
Yes.
And have placed it into books, into what they interpret God to be.
Well, what do you believe?
What do I believe? I mean, I've grown up, I've had a Christian influence when I was younger. This is me being open.
Of course.
I have had a Christian upbringing. I don't necessarily think that the Bible is all incorrect. I don't think the Quran is all incorrect. I don't think the Torah is all incorrect. But I do believe there's elements of all of it that crosses across the board where you've got to actually sit back and say, oh, hang on a second, that must be something if there's lots of different people saying the same thing. So, yeah.
Okay. So
I find religion oppressive. That's the difference between me and probably you. Which if I find following a law as quite oppressive, definitely more towards women.
Okay. Elaborate a bit more.
I just think that all religion is very patriarchal. It comes down from men, by men. I think the story, even when you go back to the story at the beginning of the time, when you're looking at Adam and Eve is the sinner, apparently the original sinner. You know, put it onto the woman. I don't agree with that. I think that everything's about
I don't agree with that either.
No, I think everything's about balance.
Yeah.
And I think it should be about balance because we hear it as masculine and feminine as to have that balance. Because you can make decisions based on logical thinking. I make decisions based on emotional thinking. That's how we are biologically different. You know what I mean? So there is a difference here and there between you and I.
So 1400 years ago, Catherine,
that's the
birth of the Prophet.
The birth of Muhammad, yeah?
Yeah, Muhammad, who came with the Quran, whom we believe, the Quran we believe is the word, the verbatim word of God. We believe it's unchanged. And we offer our examples and evidences to prove so. For example,
can I just ask, how many years was it between the bringing of the book by Muhammad and it actually being physically written?
Yeah, so it was all physically written within the lifetime of the Prophet.
So it wasn't
23
later.
years. No, it wasn't
When
later.
he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was all written down at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And we have manuscript like.
And it was from him.
Yeah. So it was. They were all written down, and we even have physical evidence, like in the University of Birmingham, the oldest manuscript that we have is dated to the time of the Prophet, and it's been carbon dated. You know carbon
The only
dating?
reason I asked is because I heard someone else that it was later, that it was written after Muhammad. That's the reason why I asked. I'd rather know the truth.
Yeah. So it was all written down by the Prophet, then compiled afterwards by the Caliph, and then afterwards it was standardized because certain things.
Do you find it aggressive? Do you find some of it quite aggressive?
I don't think so. Rather the opposite.
Do you think it's the interpretation that's made it aggressive?
I'd say it's the interpretation. I'll give you an example and then tell me your view. So 1400 years ago, we believed that there was a book, and this book is unchanged because, of course, if books are changed, then people can add their bits in there and take bits out. That's why you've got the Thomas Jefferson
I
book.
agree, that's how the Bible came about. So
Yeah. Even if you look at the King James version of the Bible, it says there's a verse in there that says women shouldn't be speaking in the church. For many years, women were kept quiet in the
women are
church.
separated in Islam. They pray separately to the men.
Yeah. We'll definitely jump into these. We'll unravel all of
This
this.
is what I mean by there's oppression in all of them.
But let's see if your stance becomes more nuanced afterwards. After this conversation, hopefully. So.
I'm willing to hear.
Yeah, of course. So then King James version then got standardized into it, or there was a new version, the New International Version, that looked at newer manuscripts, and they said that many verses, including the verse that women should be quiet in the church, were added in. The early manuscripts don't have them. And even with the Bible, they have no original manuscript of the Bible. They're all copies of copies of copies.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, which is why I don't follow Christianity.
Yeah.
That is the reason why I don't.
So-
because of the, even more so with that one, it's very patriarchal.
Yeah.
Very much so. I mean, it's all about, how can I put this? It's very much seeing the woman as the second, and that the man is first, and above.
Yeah, it reminds me of a verse from the Bible that says exactly that same thing, yeah. That the man is like the head of a woman, and then the Lord is like the head,
And
yeah.
and they say it's final. Yeah.
Can you elaborate for Adam and Eve? Because she said we blame the woman, but in Islam,
Well, yeah, don't know.
Absolutely,
at
yeah.
this point, because
Yeah, good point. So when it comes to Adam and Eve, we don't lay the blame on Eve. We don't even necessarily lay the blame on Adam. What
Because
we,
there is no blame.
yeah, what we.
They both made the decision, and they both made their own choices.
So what we technically say is, it was the satanic influence, and that made a clear distinction between the role of Satan, the role of human beings, and how they would be at loggerheads, and how.
Is Satan something in Islam? Sorry if I'm asking.
No, go for it. Go. Yeah.
Is Satan in Islam?
There is Satan in
Okay.
Islam, but
I
we
don't
don't.
believe in Satan.
But we don't believe him to be a fallen angel. We believe angels are angels, but we believe jinn, i.e.
That's a jinn, yeah.
Yeah, the jinn are the jinn, like they're distinct. We don't
I
believe.
don't believe in that concept. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not believing in scripture, then it makes sense because that comes from scripture. So then 1400 years ago, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, there are narrations that he said, and this is in Imam Malik's Muwatta, don't kill women and children. This was referring to warfare. At that time, this is very unique because at that time, women and children were fair game. And they are fair game even till today. They've always been fair
Since
game.
the beginning of time.
However,
Men are egotistical.
but when it comes to the Islamic,
And they like owning things.
you like that?
They like owning things.
So here's the thing: when it comes to the, when it comes to how Islam sees the role and the nature of women, it's different to how the Bible talks about women. Yeah, and it's different to how the society was back in those days. For example, 1400 years ago was a long time, but the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was saying stuff like, paradise lies under the feet of the
they're not
mother.
the first ones to basically put women out, or I'm not saying that I agree, but it's not the first time, because the Egyptians have actually made women kind of higher than men in history, so it has been before, and there's proof that they were goddesses and things like that.
No, but we don't say women are higher than men, though.
No.
Yeah.
No, but they are seen,
I know what you're saying, yeah.
or even equal.
Yes.
Or revered, because that's what should happen with a woman, because we are the ones that have the capacity to give birth.
The childbearing capacity,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sometimes it's even more, because as you said, it's it's even more than the men.
Well, I don't believe that, because the thing is, at the end of the day, well, not in an egotistical way, but I mean in a way, when you really think about it, depending on how you see things, the woman is the portal to source.
But then, Catherine, the issue there would be that the portal would be rendered. How do I use a polite word?
Yeah, but we are the ones that give birth.
Yeah, but then that portal relies upon the seed. So then there's an argument that can be made that the portal is.
I mean, modern times now. I mean, they are looking at possibilities to try and get women to be able to fertilise themselves through bone marrow and things like that. There's a lot of it.
And then you've got certain men that claim that they can have a uterus and give birth as well.
That's a different conversation.
Do you see? Then then it just opens a can of worms. Yeah. So here's the thing, Catherine. Let me just tell you these three. One really good way of encapsulating how Islam treats women is when a girl is born, she becomes the means of paradise for the father. When she gets married, she completes half of the religion of the husband. And the third one is that I mentioned, when she becomes a mother, paradise lies under her feet. Now the reason, Catherine...
That's why they say, don't they, heaven falls at your mother's feet.
Exactly. So now here's the reason why that's so important. Because the Islamic empires reigned from the 4th century all the way to the 14th, 15th century. That's 10 years. 10 years, and then from that civilization you had the Renaissance and the enlightenment of the Western countries that we have today. That's why Islam gets brought up, because it's the precursor to the Western enlightenment. Now here's the thing.
Sorry?
10 centuries, not 10 days, that's what you meant.
Sorry, did I say 10 days?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's why I was like,
10 centuries. It's because it's because I'm fasting today, and I'm very dehydrated.
Do you want some water?
No, I'm fasting. I'm fasting.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, you misheard. So I'm fasting. So in about in about 2 hours, I can have as much water as I want.
I'm planning on doing Ramadan. I know. I'm planning on doing Ramadan next year. Actually, I was meant to do it this year, but just circumstances I haven't been able to. But I see the power in fasting.
That's intermittent diet that would say actually it's Ramadan, but they don't like to say it. It's the Muslim fasting, but it's.
I mean, everybody likes to lay claim, and all the rest of it. I'm not here for that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we all do practices. Yeah, of course. And it's about learning as well about the habitual way that we eat.
That's right.
How the others who don't have food, how they feel,
and how people out there that are starving. Of course, it's a lot of stuff.
So Catherine, here's the thing. 1400 years ago, women were allowed. There's in Islam.
I mean, you don't treat them that way. You make them wear a fucking hijab. Sorry for the language.
No, but here's the interesting thing. Let me.
Here we go. Let's go to this then. So you tell me why a woman wears a hijab.
Yeah. I'll tell you. Because even if we take like an objective stance and we say, okay, let's take our theology and philosophy and whatever out of it, let's just use science and let's see what science says. Science inherently has evidence and proved that a woman's hair has sexual value, i.e. that a woman's beauty is also linked to her hair as well, and the hair is mostly to be covered in public. Reason being, and some people say, oh no, it's oppressive because women. People don't mention that you don't have to wear your hijab at home. You don't have to wear it with your husband.
Just outside, just in the worry a man may desire.
It's only when you go outside, for example. No, but here's the thing, Catherine, it goes both ways. A man also has a hijab. Did you know this?
There is this traditional dress, isn't there?
No. There's certain obligatory parts of a man's body that need to stay covered.
Oh yeah, that's why you wear vests and things like that.
Yeah, from the navel.
Clothing and things like that.
From the navel to the knees, the man's body should be covered. From a woman's body, it's extended more other than the face, the hands and the feet. There's a reason. Even if you look in society, Catherine, you will notice majority of the models are female. Majority of the fashion is extended towards female. Makeup, female.
Why is that? It's because of the fact that women are sexualized. That's the bottom line.
Or maybe they are used.
No, we are sexualized. That, and even more so in today's society. Even more.
I agree. Definitely, women are definitely
And
sexualized.
it's a shame that religion has taken that sexualization and have basically made us responsible and accountable for the fact that a man may not be able to control his desires. That is what I can't agree with.
I'll give you an example. Like the testosterone in a man, that scientifically speaking renders a man helpless. Just like
no.
let me just finish the point and then you can jump in.
So we can hear what he has.
I know exactly what he's going to say.
So then, just like
I've had this argument, I've had this proposition to me priorly.
No problem.
Exact same.
then I'd love to hear your rebuttal to that, because I haven't heard anything convincing. Maybe you might be the first to convince me otherwise.
I don't think that it's correct.
Let me just finish the point though, yeah? So there's a physiological need in a man to procreate. That's why a man has been given strength. That's why a man is physiologically stronger, powerful. That's why more rapes.
Science tells you, yeah.
That's what science.
Yeah, in a patriarchal world, yeah. That's fine.
Even science that has been done by females.
Which is but it's a patriarchal world. It doesn't matter whether it's done by a woman or a man.
But Catherine, you can tell me afterwards, isn't it? Let me just make the argument, because I'm struggling to stay on course with the argument. Then I'll let you finish your argument, even if I disagree with
ask you
it.
the question.
No, do it after I've made the point, isn't it? Otherwise,
Jump in so many.
yeah.
No, yeah, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
You can't come at me with a preconceived idea of the way the conversation.
I'll give you an example. In Islam, we say La ilaha illallah. That means there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is a messenger of God. If I say the declaration of faith, there is no God, and someone interrupts me, they are now critiquing a view that I believe that there is no God. But my view is not there is no God. I just was interrupted before I could complete my view because I was strawmanned to
But that's
a
not
say.
what you were just saying, and that's not why you interrupted.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that physiologically speaking, when we come outside and it's raining, we're not going to complain and say, oh, why is it raining? It should be raining. We get the umbrella out. So if we know there is a biological, mechanical, chemical desire within a man that renders him more sexually predisposed. Similarly, women, when they're on their menses, they say, oh, we're hormonal, we're this. There's Dr. David Finch, I think that's his name, and he's a clinician, and he says women have 4 hormone cycles. And within these 4 hormone cycles, it's like you're speaking to a different woman every 10 days, because hormones do have an impact on women.
Because they're biologically different, yeah.
Yes, but then if I was to say that's literally, this is done by women's psychology and women's biology is women-centric, it's not helpful to the conversation. Just like we don't divorce women from the chemical and the biological side, I think it's done too quickly with the men. I agree with you, and I think we are going to share more agreements than disagreements, because you come from a Judeo-Christian background, and
But I'm open to others as well.
Of course.
Even the Eastern religions. You know what I mean? I'm not somebody that's just looked at one.
And that's why, Catherine, I was giving you numerous examples that at a time Christianity was there, Judaism was there, and paganism was there. Islam was giving a different narrative.
ancestry is paganism.
Okay. So
I'm a Druid, because I'm from South Wales. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. So there you go. So the reason why I was giving you those examples, because Islam was a contender on the global scale. And for them to be putting these things forward that we see survive today shows that Islam doesn't hold true to the same blames that Judeo-Christians get, that Hindus get. For example, in Hinduism, there's a practice called sati.
Yeah, and I don't believe, I'm not
No problem. So I'm going to tell you.
I understand that, because obviously it's multiple gods. I don't believe in multiple gods.
Yeah.
I can't.
So Hindus have this concept of sati. Sati means that when the husband of a woman dies, his body is burnt on a pyre. Then a woman is encouraged and rewarded if she then sacrifices herself on that pyre because of a death of a husband. Now, Hindus today, that's why I couched my language very specifically and particularly, because they will say, oh no, this was only wiped out. This was only wiped out when the British got involved in India and they wiped out this process, but it even takes place even till today. In the UK, only until the 19th century, the practice of the scold's bridle was something that was removed, which is like a metal mesh which locks the woman's face. Yeah, and then puts like a device.
Against us, everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I know about all
but certain brothers won't know.
about all these things,
But many people don't. Like for me, I learned about this a few months ago. And then you put something in the mouth that's got nails in it.
They can't.
Yeah, sharp things that they can't speak. And then there's a leash around their neck, and they're paraded all the way around.
I never heard of it.
And that practice is now sexualized.
Ah, yes. And there's a movie.
How it came from them.
There's a movie that's been popularized.
It's sexualized at the moment when you're talking and you're looking at the BDSM kind of side of things.
Absolutely.
So
We're with you.
everything comes from somewhere.
That's why, Catherine, as the conversation progresses, you're going to realize there's more that unites us than divides us.
Oh no, I don't think that
Yeah.
I don't think that we're divided. I don't see it that way. Personally, we may have different views and we may have a different faith or whatever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make us divided. in
No,
my eyes.
even on
I'm
the
not divided.
nation of.
I'm everybody's cheerleader, you know. I'm not here to divide myself from everybody else.
Okay.
Differing views.
The coverture doctrine was something again that was prevalent till the 19th, 20th century here in the UK, which meant that as soon as a woman got married, she had no name or property of her own. Her reputation or her role would be meshed with that of her husband.
That's why in the British culture we change our surnames. In a lot of other
Yeah.
cultures it's not done.
In Islam,
Absolutely.
actually, she has the right to keep her name.
Yeah, she does.
Absolutely.
And children that
This
take
is
the
a very
father's
good
name. Yeah, I know.
equality, as you
So
say.
she doesn't have to take her own name. She 1400 years ago she was allowed to own her own property.
It's a very, to be honest, culturally it's very British.
Yeah.
And very much of this island.
Not only in Britain,
practice.
all
You know what I
Europe
mean?
also
Yeah, but the
has
thing
the
is you have to look at it as
Christian
British originally because we are the ones that were, well, I'm saying we. I mean, you know,
Gurmanish
I'm
doesn't
obviously
have-
Welsh,
Yeah.
but, you know,
You
they
guys are
got-
you guys are the real inhabitants of this country actually. The
I
Welsh
think
and the
so,
Scots.
Yeah, the Celts, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when you look at the map, that differentiate through, I can't remember what
Saxon
year.
and all the others.
Yeah, I mean, all
The Anglo-Saxons
Cornwall,
came in, yeah.
All the Cornwall up to
Yes.
Bristol, Gloucester, all of that was all Wales as well. And I think
Yeah.
parts heading more towards Birmingham and like up north and things like that. I believe Liverpool, I believe, as well, was part of Wales. I mean, but it was quite large, but obviously we were overtaken by the English, and particularly where our resources are.
Now here's Catherine. Here's the thing. When it comes to divorce is a contention amongst all the different faiths. In Hinduism, a woman cannot divorce.
Yeah.
Even if the husband beats her, even if he's an immoral man, according to the Manusmriti, it's dotted around the Manusmriti, you cannot divorce.
No,
according
it's the
to
same as Catholicism, right? They are exactly the same, and this is the reason why Henry VIII changed the religion
Absolutely.
from Catholicism over to Protestant
Church of England,
in order
yeah.
to be able to divorce Catherine of Aragon.
Absolutely. In Judaism, you've got something called the get that a woman needs to get from the husband, but it's ironic because she can't get it unless he gives it.
Yeah.
And
the power there, but and
Do you see?
there's also people that go and actually serve gets now in the Jewish community.
And the thing is that even a senior rabbi, cannot order that the man divorce the woman. It's up to the man.
Yeah.
Even if he's a bit loose, even if he's changed.
He's saying now it's oppression.
But we don't hear about this.
I would argue.
No, people don't talk about
I would
it.
argue.
But they will,
People don't
Do you
talk
see?
about it
It's real
enough.
nicely.
The thing is
Yeah.
like people don't have these conversations when you're talking as kind of the power of the man over the woman.
I mean, about
Not a lot of
media and
people
stuff,
do.
they will never hear about this.
So here's the thing, Catherine. Now, and of course you know the Christian view, which is that
We divorce anyone. And you still have your sins absolved because you believe in Jesus Christ. Sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
No. Even according to the Bible, you're not. I asked numerous Christians over here. Can you, if the man is senselessly beating the woman day in day out, can she get a divorce? According to the Bible, the answer is no.
No,
can't.
I mean,
But then-
times changed where the Christian church did kind of modernise a bit, whereas the Catholic one didn't. I mean, they obviously there are people who are divorced, but when they remarry, they can't get remarried to the Catholic Church. They can have the wedding blessed, but they can't as a divorcee.
But in Islam, a woman can get something called a khula. That if she is being beaten senseless, or if there is a case, they go to court.
She declared divorce, saying the word 3 times, is it?
So the declaration is done, technically speaking.
A man can do that, a woman can't.
No, it's not.
There's differences.
Yeah, of course there are differences, because like you said, and you were talking biologically as well, a woman, her hormonal makeup is completely different to that of a man.
But I can't blame my hormones for the way that I act.
No, but
it's my responsibility.
Absolutely.
As is your desires. It's your responsibility, it's not mine.
It is a responsibility, but then...
No, it's not my responsibility.
No.
Your desire's not my responsibility.
No. I'm just agreeing with what you've said, that although hormones do play a part, according to the society and the faiths that we are living under, we are to be held responsible. There is no law.
We're responsible for the way that they affect us.
Yeah.
Because the only person that we can ever be accountable for is ourselves. I can't control anyone else's behavior.
However,
but it's an excuse, and I'm sorry, but you have to you need to know exactly what it is that your body is doing. And if you don't, then obviously it's going to affect you in certain ways. I mean, we do.
But knowing your body is doing something is different to...
But you know that during mid-month, you know how high our desire gets. You're aware of that, obviously.
No, but okay, so let's just say I'm walking down the street, Catherine.
Hang on. Are you aware that mid-cycle, when we are ovulating, that we peak and we are sexually desiring and wanting to be with men?
Yes.
Because that's what procreation is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same. We have to control our desires, right? Just as a man should be able to control his, rather than me having to do it by covering myself.
Right. So let's walk through this scenario then. Let's just say it's a really hot sunny day. We're in a really hot country. You talked about, okay, it's about being a good person and morality and the likes. So where do we draw the line with regards to dress? How much should a woman be covered? I'm assuming from your side there is no line that can be drawn or should be drawn.
I mean, I don't think there should be.
But surely we should control ourselves.
No, because I believe, personally, I think that men out there need to take a little bit more control over their desires.
Let's go with that. So you're saying, technically speaking, a woman can walk butt naked and men just need to control themselves.
Yeah, I think that
should be stopped anyway. The law doesn't allow it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't exactly. The law doesn't allow me.
But let's just say you're on a desert island.
Hold on. But if the law,
I don't
know whose that is.
That's ours. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The law doesn't abide me to do that, right? Sorry.
No, but the law is man-made, and the law can change tomorrow.
Man-made.
So let's just say we're on a desert island, and there's loads of men and women there, and if people come to you, "Hail, Catherine, what do you think we should do?" Because let's just say there are a lot of youngsters there, and they say, "Catherine, can you give us advice?" Some women are saying, it's okay to go around in bras and knickers.
What if there's no clothing there? What if you're stranded and there is no clothing?
Let's just say
we run the risk of inciting the desires of men, because they don't have the control over it. So if they take
what rule would you give on that?
Hang on. If everything's stripped away, right, and we have nothing, say like we said, we're on a desert island, we have nothing. We don't have clothes. So what do we do?
We use what's in the desert island to cover up. There's leaves, there's all sorts of things. That's what people have done for time immemorial.
There's a lot of cultures where women don't wear anything over their breasts, because the problem is with modern day society is the breasts have become more sexualized rather than actually the use that they're for, which is to breastfeed a child. But the problem is there's a lot of men out there that have sexualized their breasts, so therefore we have to cover them. This is why it's difficult for women to go into a cafe, take their child out of the pram and breastfeed their child. They need to be covered. They're told they need to be covered. I think it's a disgrace.
You think they should be able to whip it out in public?
I think they should be able to mother their children in whatever way possible, of course.
Like even if she just takes her top off and...
No, but come on, women do it in a discreet manner, right?
No, but why should they though?
Because of the fact that men can't control the fact that it causes them to build a desire. I mean, come on, there's men out there that have sexualised that even, but they go and seek. Many women to be able to go and drink breast milk. Right? It is. But this is what society has done to women. This is what today's society has done. I mean, as a woman, I don't think men will ever truly understand what porn has done. And the fact of it sexualizes completely the expectation, right, as a woman of what you have to do in order to perform for your man is a disgrace. You've got men suffering from ED, right, because they can't actually have physical sex because they're addicted to porn. Right? It's all fucked up. And all of this comes from oppression of women and the fact that our bodies are
So here's a question that I have, Catherine. Do you believe that over the centuries there has been a concerted conspiratorial effort by men that got together and put these oppressive laws in place for women?
Yes.
How would you be able to prove this?
I mean, I don't have to prove. I don't want to. It's not for me, right? I'm not out here to like prove points. I'm just saying.
No, for my benefit.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, if you look up perpetually through history, it's mostly been male leaders. And the only time that a woman can be basically a queen and in charge of anything is if she's either, if she's married, her husband's not allowed to be king. But yeah, when a man becomes a king, she's a queen. Do you get what I mean?
Would you say that the women are the most free now than they have been in the past?
I don't really think so. I think if you look
comparatively,
I don't know, to be honest with you, because when you look at circumstances, our times change. Obviously, eras have changed and things have changed, but there's also some things that have become worse.
Because historically, we've been told that women didn't have their own identities. They were having things in their mouths like the scold's bridle. They didn't. They weren't.
I mean, right? That a person like me would have been tried in the witch trials just purely for the fact that I stand for you as an independent woman. I would have been killed for being an independent woman in the witch trials, which was Christian.
Yeah. What was that called?
Which you look at the Salem witch trials, but it wasn't just in Salem.
They say you are a witch.
Yeah, no, there's a word.
They called, like the way that it was run was a lot of the women were the midwives. They were the healers. They were the people that looked after everybody within the community. Right? But they were tried on the trials and basically murdered for being that type of person. Women have been chastised.
Oh, okay. So Catherine, you said so you said there is this chemical makeup. Well, rather we were discussing that we've got these hormones and we're physically and biologically predisposed to certain things.
Oh, we're very different biologically. Of course we are.
No, in terms of like when I mentioned testosterone and you were you were scoffing at that. How can? What's your suggestion?
Right?
No, it's fine. I'm not looking down at you. I'm not looking down at you.
No, I know, but it may look that way from my sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if it doesn't.
No problem.
Way, right? But in my opinion, a man that holds onto his desire.
How do we control it? How?
I mean, I don't know. Not you.
Well,
but I mean, it's basically not acting.
Yeah, but I want to see what she says.
It's not acting on it. It's not giving into instant gratification.
But how does that manifest practically?
What do you mean how does that manifest practically?
So you can't just go to a man and say control yourself and he goes okay and he just walks down the street. I'm saying give said man, like man A, practical ways in which he can control his desires. How?
Getting to know himself, getting to know why he has the desires in the first place and why the fact that he is sexualizing externally to hold his power within and to get a little bit more in touch with his feminine side, because we all have it. I have masculine energy and feminine energy. It's yin and yang balance, right?
So you're saying education, right?
It is an education, of course it is, but the thing is because of the fact that we've lived in a patriarchal society, men have never been held accountable. They're not. I mean, even in a lot of like scripture and things like that. I mean, rape on a woman has only just not long become legal within marriage. When a woman says no, a man can rape her husband. A man can rape his wife. Or could, sorry.
Yeah.
Now legally that has changed, and it's not that long ago. So if you're telling me that that's not aggression, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, I think we're talking past each other slightly in the sense that a lot of what you're saying we already have in Islam, so we're ahead of the curve in many regards.
You make the woman actually dress and cover
No. I'll get to that. But you mentioned many things, and then let me just get through these 2-3 things. So one thing you mentioned is the concept of consent. So we have, according to the prophetic tradition, consent is an integral part of getting married. The Prophet sought consent.
So can I just? So the actual act of getting married just gives consent. That's it.
No, it's because you mentioned 3 things, Catherine, and I'm just talking about the consent thing for now.
I'll
get to the.
That's what I'm asking. Is when you get married, is that when you give the consent to your husband?
No, because even. But what are you asking?
You just said.
Is it to do with rape?
No.
Right.
The act of getting married is where you give consent, and that's it.
You give consent and you receive consent. However, the
that's it. Yeah?
No, that's
consent.
No. That's no. But there's
you don't have to though, do you? Because you see in the marriage that you give consent.
Right. So then here now, the way modern society has become is anytime you deem or you're going to have a sexual encounter with your wife, you have to seek permission each and every time, which it becomes
in the modern day, but that's not obviously the
which becomes like a very transactional, very fearful relationship that I need to get your permission to do this, when most of the stuff is done through non-verbal cues. Like you're speaking to you're fiddling or you're playing with your wife, and then you're by yourselves and you're playing with each other. And you go, oh stop it, I don't. But you've been with her for 4 years. That oh stop it means that she just doesn't want to give it to you quickly because your husband, you've been with her. But somebody else will go no. At that moment, you need to ask her consent because she said no, stop it. Because that's ludicrous, Catherine. And that's why we have a principle in our relationships that we say there is something called the harm principle, which is la darara wa la dirar. Do not inflict harm, nor reciprocate it. So if there is a danger of inflicting harm, like force, harming the other person in a relationship, that's not allowed. It's against the principles of a relationship. However, even being told that this is how things should be. Anal intercourse is something which is forbidden in Islam. However, when it comes to other faiths, it's not even mentioned, it's scoffed at. So stuff like this, you'll get majority, that will be a tangent in itself. But what I'm saying is that even in relationships, there is more of an understanding and a cohesive relationship in which there isn't this need of...
I have to say, the one thing that I'm really, really, really glad about the younger generation is that they're learning about consent. I'm sorry, but the bottom line is, it shouldn't even put you off, or no matter what, just to say, oh, are you sure now? That doesn't harm anything.
Is it okay if we just move the mic up a little bit? Because we can't hear you properly. Yeah. Because we want to hear what you're saying as well.
I mean, to be honest,
even though
this is a difficult conversation because the way that I see it
needs to be done, Catherine.
Yeah, it does need to be done, because the thing is, I don't think it's fair for a man to be able to tell me when I can and can't give consent or when I receive consent. I think that it should be thought about.
That's not. Yeah.
Conversation needs to be had.
In marriage, the consent is to be done from both sides. Man.
It's always two way.
Yeah.
It is. That's
not necessarily.
No. That's the thing with consent. The consent should always be two way.
Yeah.
It's not an individualized thing to women.
So what I'm saying is that in marriage, the concept of consent does go both ways.
And it comes, as you're saying, it comes from the act of marriage that gives the consent. That's what you're saying.
And thereafter, we have principles in place in which you are unable to oppress, inflict harm. If either of the people want to leave the faith, they can do so, which is not present in Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, even today. Like you may proclaim that we're free and we should be able to do whatever in society. Certain people, two people will be in a relationship. There will already be a power dynamic. That power dynamic may be in terms of earning potential. It might be in terms of physical potential. It might be in terms of how eloquent and how dominant a person is in terms of speech. You can tell the person, oh, you know what, and educate the person in this regard. But many people have still been oppressed in relationships in which they've been very educated. The other partner has been very educated. But Catherine, the reality is when we are overcome by emotions, then certain things can and do happen. Agreed, we need to control our emotions, and that's something that is a journey of life. However,
which I'm grateful to have taken the time to do.
Exactly.
Because I have control over my emotions.
And I remember you did mention this last time, and that a portion of our conversation was to do with this and you were very happy and you were talking about your journey into this.
I've got a very blessed life. Do you know what I mean? I'm very, very fortunate.
But here's the thing, we don't have control of our emotions, we don't have control of our biology and our chemistry.
Are you telling me who I am?
When I say you, I mean general, not you as an individual. Yeah, like humanity in general. Like humanity in general does not have control over over its anger, over even joy. Like when you see a baby walking, you know, certain people will be just overcome with emotion.
Yeah.
Why? Because
I'm a person that feels joy very vividly.
Yeah.
Very vividly. I see the beauty in all the simplistic things, but I mean, I'm very fortunate that I see the world the way that I do.
I'll give you an example. Somebody that, for example, has lost their father at a very young age, and I don't mean to make this conversation go into a violent thing. I've lost a father at a very young age, so if, for example,
I've had a father that left.
Yeah. So let's just, if we both watched The Lion King, different experiences,
I'd lead with emotion.
but if both of us watch The Lion King or Bambi, actually Lion King, let's stick with Lion King, and Mufasa dies, that's going to hit us, Catherine, differently to say somebody else.
Of course, because not all people.
It's a lived experience.
We're all living an individual journey on this.
And that's why I agree with you, and that's why there's more agreement than disagreement, in the sense that there are a lot of human systems that are put in place that do favor certain, power over another. It could be the power of the government over the other, like Thomas Hobbes and the Leviathan.
We live in a society at the moment which is very uneven, shall we say. We got very, very rich, and then the rest of us are just basically shoveling around for a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's where I would say, Catherine, that we need an objective morality that is independent of the man, independent of the woman, independent of anything else, that governs us, that tells us what to do, and it has to be proven.
I mean,
that it's from God.
You may need that, yes. I agree. There are people out there that need the community, that need to be part of religion, because that's how they feel and that's what it takes them towards, right? I'm not one of those persons. Thankfully, I'm in a position where I live quite I don't want to say moralistic, because that makes me sound like I'm a bit higher than another, but I lead by I treat others how I would like to be treated. That's how I lead. This is why I'm a kind person. This is why I'm a nice person. I don't need a book to tell me that.
What certain people have a very low threshold, very high threshold for pain. Yeah. So let's just.
I'm really tattooed. Of course I am.
So with this principle, this is an interesting principle. Treat others like you want to be treated. What if you have a very high threshold for pain? Would that now mean it's okay to reciprocate that to others just because you have a very high threshold?
Oh no, I don't have expectations of others that they need to be the same as me. No.
Because that's what it is, isn't it?
No. But that's what I'm saying.
Treat others like.
No. What I'm saying is I treat others how I would like to be treated. How I would like somebody to treat someone.
So what if someone likes being BDSM'd?
But that's on them. Right, their behaviour isn't something that I have a control over. That's on them. Then if that's a person that is opposing to what my moralistic values lie as, then no, I can still, offer and extend and be a really nice person to that person, but I don't necessarily have to have any time with them.
But do you see, Catherine, for somebody else, not yourself, because apparently you claim to have invested a lot in yourself, and you know yourself.
I have.
I mean, I take it on surface value. So if somebody else, Catherine, comes and says, I have a principle of treat others like I want to be treated, but that person is very harsh on themselves. They're a very harsh critic. They're very strict. Do you think you would give them the advice to follow this principle and maxim?
Probably no, because I'm more a person, I'm not a preacher. I'm not here to preach to tell people how to live. I'm not here to do that. That's not my role. My role is to just take accountability for myself. So I'm not going to take on board what somebody else is. That's them. That's totally and utterly separate to who I am. I don't have control, but I will still extend to them how I would like to be treated. Whether they are in a place to receive that's up to them.
So if a woman loves to wear the hijab, loves to cover her face,
that's her prerogative. But that's her prerogative.
Like after COVID.
I'm not saying, right, that the way I think is for everybody. I'm not saying that. I understand that there are some women that think very different to me. They're not as independent thinking as I am. We're all different humans. There are men out there that are not as independent thinking as you are.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? We're all individual people. I'm not going to put my expectations onto others because that's their life. I'm not going to go in and disturb that and tell them what they're doing is wrong because in their eyes it's right.
Yeah.
And I understand and I respect that. Like I show everybody respect that's got their own faith. That's where I lie. I totally.
It's a very good principle to have. Yeah.
I know, and I know that's not where everybody lies.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm aware of that. But I know who I am. That's the only thing that I can say here.
Could you be wrong, Catherine?
Absolutely, I could be. And you know what? The way I stand, I'm quite confident. I don't mind if I'm right or wrong because I've lived true to myself.
How would you measure what's right or wrong?
I don't think it's I think this is where we get entangled in semantics and things a lot of the time because I think in the world that we stand today, there's a lot of people that are disturbed where they've experienced certain things and it's taken.
What about you?
Me?
How do you measure what's?
Do you know what?
Because you're saying right or wrong, I'm saying so. If a news was to come to you, how would you?
I wouldn't say I'm right or wrong.
No. I'm saying for
where
you.
My values lie. You're asking.
So if some like
you ask me what my values are.
I guess what I'm saying is that if something was to come to you, how would you measure if it conflicts with your worldview? That if you should change it or not?
If it upsets my peace. If it makes me, if it takes me to a place where I react in a way that I don't want to react, then I step away. Anything that can alter.
Do you think there are exceptions to that? That maybe you don't know.
I mean, the way I've seen it and the way that I am, I quite like who I am. Actually, I love who I am.
That's good.
And I love the way that I see the world. And I like the fact that I've got a very innocent view of everything. And I am a person of love. And I offer and extend love everywhere I go to everybody. And I'm not in a position to ever judge whatever somebody's circumstances
I got that.
are.
I got that from the beginning.
You know, yeah.
But then if information comes to you and you're saying you're open to being wrong or right,
yeah.
I'm saying how do you measure if news comes to you about something that you're doing is...
There is nothing that's done that. There isn't. Because I think this is why...
You said if it disturbs your peace, yeah?
Yeah, if it disturbs my peace.
Right.
If it... Look, right, we're all people that have experienced things.
Yeah.
And my life hasn't been in the same experience as yours.
Of course.
This is where our perceptions lie, and how we take information in, how we absorb it. I mean, it's psychology. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like for me, I don't like being taken to a place that somebody's energy or somebody could take me to a level that makes me step outside myself.
Yeah.
Within my emotions. That's the way I see it, because I have to have...
What if that's good for you, Catherine? What if stepping outside of your emotions is good for you to grow?
I feel them, right? I absolutely feel my emotions. I sit with them and I feel them. This is why I'm in the position that I am, because I don't just dampen them down. I sit with myself and I feel the emotions. And if there's a point where I'm like, actually, I can't interact with that.
Because surely, Catherine, the only way to grow in life is to be in uncomfortable positions. Yeah. Because that's when you know yourself and that's when you grow and you know where the
This is why I said
the
to you
lines
earlier,
are.
I'm quite happy to have conversations with people that have got different views because it challenges my core belief. If I'm not willing to challenge my core belief, then I'm a fool because I'm not open to learning. But I am open to learning. But all it teaches, and I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these conversations that I have, all it teaches me is the fact a lot of the time I walk away with respect, and I think that's where I come from a lot of the time. It's nice to see somebody else's viewpoint. It's nice to see how somebody else's life is in comparison to mine. I know that my life is a very, 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 very blessed one. I don't have lots of things. I don't have, the things. But, like, for example, the beautiful day that we've got today.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
Right? The sun is going to set later and it's going to look beautiful.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It brings me joy.
Same.
Right? Simplistic. If I see a child, you were talking earlier, if I see a child, if I see a dog, I smile. It's the little things. I'm not expressing any of my trauma or things that I've done or that have happened to me onto anybody else.
Okay, Catherine, let me push back a little bit. Maybe go in a bit of a different direction, but more to do with morality.
Yeah.
Let me see where the lines are. Let's take the example of torture.
Yeah.
Would you be okay? I just want to know how you think. Would it be okay for you to torture somebody if it means saving the lives of, say, 50 people?
However, how is torture going to do that?
Sorry?
How would torture do that? Do you really think that torture provides the truth?
Well, governments claim they do.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of times. Do you think that sometimes people get to such a point that they will tell you anything you want to hear?
I agree with you.
So no, I don't think torture works.
So you don't?
No.
What if torturing one person means that you save 200 people and
How
there
is
is...
that? No, but how?
And then-
how is that going to save?
And then you can use...
No, but I need you to attest.
No, I'm telling you.
Explain to me though how
Yeah.
torturing that one person is going to save 200. How?
I'll tell you. He's a terrorist. Yeah.
Okay.
He knows where the bomb is. Yeah. So if you torture him, and then he tells you where the bomb is, you save 100 lives.
Yeah, but you think he's going to tell you the truth? There's circumstances
Plug him
where
up.
men won't break.
Plug him up to a lie detector.
Yeah, but come on.
Yes, 95+%
I know,
accuracy.
but there's ways and means around it.
So if you think that there is a 95% plus chance of him telling the truth, do you think it's worth it to save 100 lives?
I don't think that you can definitively say that you will get the truth. No, I don't think torture is. I mean, personally, I don't believe that torture should be done.
Okay.
I'm a humanitarian, right?
Okay, good.
And a lot of the time, the way I see it, a lot of people get into the positions that they are due to things that they've experienced.
Okay.
Or due to the upbringing that they've had. These are the things that we need to be looking at. Do you know what I
Let me give you another less harsh scenario. You have like a little what do you call it? Like a carriage on a
Train.
Yeah, so on the rail track you've got like they call it like a trolley. It's a smaller one, yeah? So you got a trolley going down. And then on that track that track divides into two. And the trolley can go into two. If you leave the trolley, it will run over 4 people that are tied up to that
I've
track.
heard this analogy
I know.
before. I know.
Yeah, it's a popular one. But let me see what you're going to say. Let me see. So if you don't do anything, 4 people die. If you pull the lever, the trolley goes to the other platform and only 1 person dies. What would Catherine do?
I'd probably try to slow the train. I would probably try and slow the train.
How would you do that?
I mean, I don't know how I would do it, but that's probably where my first line of thought would go. Because then nobody has to die.
That's a
I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I thought that as well. But let's just say you had those 2 options.
Though, isn't it? And the thing is I can't tell you what choice I would make unless I was in that position. It's easy with hypothesis to say, yes, I would do this. Yet you enter a situation, you do completely different. I've been in many situations in the past before where I thought I would have reacted differently.
But surely we should know thyself before being in a position it would affect the lives of others.
Well, yeah, I mean, people don't take accountability for themselves, which is a big thing that is around us.
So finding out what we would do in certain scenarios, and then when we are in that scenario, we're like, hang on a minute.
Personally, I don't relate to hypothetical situations because I try to live as quite present as possible in the situations that I'm in, rather than trying to put myself into positions that I'm never going to be in. And to some people, that might not be seen as the right thing, but that's just the way my brain works.
So I see that you've slightly maneuvered away from the trolley experiment, which is fine.
No, it's not that. It's just the thing is like I think it's easy to ask hypotheses to people, right? It's very easy to ask hypotheses. It's very easy with us standing here now in a calm position saying, I would do this.
Let me ask you a real one then, that we all go through every single day, which is you drink tap water, right?
No.
Never ever?
I don't anymore, no.
If somebody put it in front of you, would you drink it?
If I was thirsty, of course.
If you were thirsty, okay. So there's a process that the tap water that we get goes through is called chlorination,
Yeah.
which is killing.
Fluoride it's the fluoride which can actually calcify and everything in the system.
No.
But there's that as well.
Yeah. I mean that.
So there's a lot
They
of
claim, but this is
There is fluoride in water.
Yeah, but then there's a claim that small amount of fluoridation can actually affect how a person thinks.
There's a lot of scientific out there because it actually affects the frontal lobe, and this is the one. A big majority of the frontal lobe is what controls.
No, you're talking about the pineal gland, the
pineal
calcification
gland,
of it.
Yeah.
I need to look more into it.
But I mean,
it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
So the chlorination of the water, that process kills hundreds and millions of
It
microbacteria.
also kills the good ones.
Exactly. So then, knowing that, similar line of thought. But that process also occurs when it comes to bottled water. Some bottled waters do that.
They go through purification,
Yeah, so purification process killing hundreds and millions of microbacteria. Is that enough for you to stop drinking it, or do you think that the pleasure outweighs the harm, therefore you would drink it?
Pleasure. I think if I was very, very thirsty.
Or your survival.
If I was in survival, then yes.
So your survival is more than the survival of hundreds and millions.
If you look at our brains anyway, if you look at the amygdala, which puts us into survival, which is what our survival choices come from, it's in our genetics.
But Catherine, we need to control it.
But you can, because it's your choices of what you do that affect you. It's because the thing is your amygdala can tell you you're in survival mode, right? But also you can make the choice whether you act on that.
Yeah, you can. I'm of the opinion you can control it through even breathing practices and all these sorts of things. So then, would you give your life more preference over hundreds and millions of microorganisms, Catherine?
What do you mean? Because I'm drinking the water.
So you're saying if I had to do so for survival, yeah, I would do if I'm really thirsty.
If I could, I would try and drink it as naturally as possible, which is possible where I grew up from, because we did have the streams that were clean. We had a clean source of water. So, I mean, in my experience, I would just drink the natural from the stream itself.
But now that you know that
because
bottled
that's how
water.
they survived long ago, and this is why we don't have all of these things inside our gut anymore, is because we've stopped doing it.
Yeah,
that's why we have the conditions that we do, because we're not used to the bacteria that is in there. The bad bacteria actually sometimes works for us in our favour.
Absolutely.
And that's what they say, isn't it? All the bad things that happen to you are always working in your favour.
Yeah. A lot of bad things. Like the most valuable liquid that we have on planet Earth is actually venom that comes from a scorpion. Because it's used as a cancer treatment process. So it's actually ironic. Absolutely. So
but in another circumstance, it would be very dangerous to someone.
So Catherine, if somebody told you that bottled water, tap water, all goes through this and you have no other alternative, I'm assuming for survival, for quenching your thirst, you would drink it?
Well, you do in survival, don't you? I mean, when you're in survival...
Wouldn't you sacrifice yourself for the greater good of the many?
What do you mean?
That's a very rudimentary, because you didn't go with the trolley example. I gave you an example that's...
Yeah, but the bacteria, which is... What do you mean? Would you
stop drinking water? Would you stop drinking water saying that, you know what, hundreds and millions of bacteria are going to die because of me?
I'm a selfish person. I'm looking after self. Of course, I'm going to prioritise that. Won't take what me.
Catherine, should you control that though?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, or have to?
I mean, hypothetically, if you're looking at a hypothesis and you're looking at it philosophically, I mean, there's arguments for both sides, isn't there? But I mean, me personally, I would choose the water.
But philosophically, the only other argument would be that you, as a human being, because of your consciousness, philosophically, the argument would be made that human life is more valuable than hundreds.
I don't think that human life is more valuable than anything. No, I don't. I mean, just because of the fact that I eat meat, or the fact that there's practices that I do.
Or do you eat meat?
Yeah, I do eat meat. Yeah, I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian. I eat
That's
meat.
interesting. How come?
Because I enjoy it. I'm honest. If there's anything, I'm honest.
But I don't mean to bring this up sarcastically. I'm just doing it because it's a measure that you put in place. I don't mean it in a derogatory way.
Perfect.
No, what I'm saying is,
if I was living a perfect existence, then maybe I would be vegan. But then again, there's an argument that plants are sentient also.
exactly.
Because the thing
So you can't eat anything then.
Yeah.
Then do you sacrifice your eggs? Because there was somebody that's saying that we should kill ourselves.
My body needs the protein. My body needs the nutrients.
Pick up the protein.
Do you know what I mean?
I know about that protein, Catherine.
I mean,
I know about how important that protein is.
But it is good for our bodies.
Yeah,
and the thing is,
absolutely.
Like, you know, I'm not a hypocrite, but I'm going to stand here and say I'm perfect. No.
So you're saying in your journey, in an ideal way, you would stop consuming meat, stop consuming plants?
I mean, that's what is kind of...
that's the ideal, Catherine.
That's the ideal that some people put out there. I mean, I'm also on the kind of line of...
Please don't do that, Catherine, though, yeah?
What?
Don't stop eating meat, plants, water.
I never will. No.
Yeah, I'm not going to see you again then.
No, I never will, because the thing is, I have got selfish tendencies, because we all do.
But that's good, though, isn't it?
Of course, because the thing is, like I said, the only thing that I'm comfortable for is myself. And as long as I am doing things in a way that is true to me, then I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? And I will always take accountability for things that I do. If somebody else comes up to me and says, "Oh, you did this," I will always take accountability, because I'm not here to tell how somebody feels.
You don't have to answer this question, but do you have children of your own?
I do, yeah, I have a grandson.
Okay. With regards to the children, do you just kind of let them figure everything out themselves, or do you give them certain morals and principles?
Really interesting question, actually, because
how do you decide what to tell them?
Basically, when I raised my daughter, I allowed her to make some decisions with that for herself, knowing that there were consequences. So she then would have to basically declare that be accountable for the consequences for the choices that she made. And I'm very, very fortunate that my daughter never went out and drank on the streets. She never went out and took drugs. She has a beautiful little boy. She's a good, hard-working woman. And I brought her up in a way that she has to live to her accountability and her consequences. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you're saying that you taught him a few things. Her a few things. When you were cognizant of the fact that they could learn based upon the consequences of those things. But
the thing is, how is she going to learn it if I'm just lecturing her? How is she going to learn if I'm just telling her, like, no, you can't do that?
And where did you draw that line between now I need to teach them and then now I need to leave them?
Lead by example.
But aren't you a flawed example?
Of course, we all are.
So shouldn't they have an example that is a perfect example?
But the thing is her example is depending on if she follows what I do or if she makes a choice based on free will. I'm very lucky because we're very, very different people, actually. Very, very different people. Very different tastes, very different personalities. But she's very moralistically, she's a good girl. Do you know what I mean? She's 25. You know, she's an adult. And she doesn't make wrong choices, as in she lives a very, very good life.
But what you deem to be wrong, what if she deems to be right? Like, when you're measuring how good she's...
Then we're different because we're individuals. I'm not going to treat her any different to treating somebody else and saying and what she's got to do than I would with somebody that I don't know. Because I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell somebody how to be. I would rather encourage my daughter to grow up with authenticity, which is something that she did. And she lives very, very authentically to herself.
So there is an example. I'm not going to use you as an example. I'll use somebody else because different people react differently to these examples.
We've all got different parenting techniques.
So let's just say somebody else, their child comes to them and says that this is somebody else, yeah? That I want to do incest. And you go, this is not right. Yeah, and they go, but me and my brother, we're both over 18 and we're going to use contraception. In your worldview, would you not say anything and say it is what it is? Or would you?
There's certain, you know what I mean? I have morals. I have kind of a moralistic standing. That's where I say that there's consequences to the fact of your behaviour.
What is the consequence of that?
I mean, the consequences, though, the consequences can sometimes be having to sit down and go, hang on a sec, and really moralistically look at yourself. That's a consequence.
What would you say is wrong about that? other than we just feel that it's wrong.
It's going back to the sexualized kind of connotations that society has. This is the issue that I have. Do you know what I mean? Because I think this in a lot of the books, incest is looked at and frowned down upon. And don't forget, I've been brought up in a Christian environment, so I have had some teachings in regards to religion and things like that, which I've obviously got my morals are based off my experiences.
But say now, if you divorce yourself from that and you go with the principle that you've established, based upon that principle, how would you prove to said person what you're doing is wrong? And they say, what makes it wrong? And you say Bible, but I don't believe in Bible.
I don't say anything about the Bible.
Hypothetically,
hypothetically, I wouldn't go down the Bible.
What answer would you give them?
I would basically tell her, because obviously it's my daughter, or I don't have a son, so I would never be able to relate to that.
Yeah.
But I would be able to turn to her and say, you are very, very confused in regards to your feelings, because there's something that's happened somewhere along the line that I have gone wrong, which I take accountability for if she thinks that behaviour is okay. That's my responsibility. That's my accountability, because I obviously, by my leading, haven't taught her the right example.
But then what if the son says to you, but mother, you still haven't explained why it's wrong. Tell me why it's wrong, then maybe I will stop it. Why is it wrong?
Why are we arguing over semantics?
No, in terms of...
It is though, isn't it? Because the thing is, again, you're going down the road of...
How do you tell them that it's wrong?
What do you mean? How would you?
No, I would do it through my religious framework. That's where I get my morals from.
Okay.
But yourself, because you don't subscribe to that, it fascinates me to see how people would reach certain conclusions. That's why I'm asking you this.
The way I would display it that it's wrong is by basically you show, like, the thing is that first of all and first and foremost, it's illegal. It's against the law. Yes. Incest is against the law.
But what if then the country
is... It's against... In this country...
I don't think if two people over 18...
No,
they can
incest is against the law.
Two people over 18 consenting...
Incest is against the law.
So would that be your line of reasoning?
Well, yeah, because it's against the law.
It's a
criminal offence.
If they move to a Scandinavian country in which it's not, would that be okay?
Can I control her? Can I? As I said, all I can do is lead by example. I can't make her choices.
You're not controlling her?
No.
But she's speaking to you on the phone saying, Mum, I want your blessing.
I'm not going to give her.
But why?
Because I don't agree. It's just like there's some things that you and I don't agree on today.
No, but on what basis?
To agree to disagree. Well, why can't I disagree? What are you trying to get me to say? Tell me what you were trying to get me to say, because I'm not going to go down that road, because like you're basically leading me now down into a conversation to try and get me to say something, to say that this is where your religion proves.
Shall I tell you what it is, Catherine? You've already said that religion is something that doesn't interest you. I
didn't say it didn't interest me.
Okay, maybe I'm strawmanning you. You're saying it's not something I require because that's what I understood. Maybe clarify.
No. For me, I don't need to be part of a community. Yes, that's what I mean. I don't need
community. That's the word you used. Yeah.
Community. That's the word.
Yeah. So then, why extrapolate from that? Maybe you could correct me, because I assumed that you said I'm happy with myself. I can hear differing opinions, but it's not something that I require at this moment in time.
It's not. It's really not.
So I was right.
No, I'm confident.
Yeah.
Right. I'm confident in the way that it is. I know who I am.
So
I'm not going to have.
So let me just clarify.
Because basically, what you were wanting me to do is to stand here and say, "Oh, I know. Yeah, I can join your. I'll join your club."
That's not what I'm saying. What I've done halfway through the conversation, I got the impression that we'll probably have a more fruitful conversation if I just ask you about your morality. I'm actually not leading you anywhere. Unless you bring the conversation back on religion, then I'll happily go back on there.
Yeah, but the thing is because...
Catherine, one second. Because I want you to be comfortable in this conversation. I'm not here to get a one-up on you. I'm not here to make you look bad.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
And it feels the way that you're trying to direct things. And I mean, to be honest, I don't blame you.
The reason why I say that, Catherine, is because I'm trying to get a definite answer, a definite principle that reflects your morality.
No, you don't.
You don't have to give me that if you don't want to.
No, I don't.
By the way, just one other thing, just so I've tied the loose end. That's not going to be a means of me coming in at the end and going, aha, I have the solution for you. It's Islam. although
because I know it's not my
Yeah.
solution.
I obviously do believe, because I'm a Muslim, I do believe it is.
And I respect that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get you to say something and then say, aha, I made you go down here. I'm genuinely
that's
curious.
and I'll be honest,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of the time now. This is where the conversations tend to go down.
I know,
so
I
you
know,
can
I know.
understand. Obviously, I've come in with a preconceived idea.
I know,
and that
but you
was
did
wrong.
last time. I thought you remembered. That's why I thought we could
Do you
get
know
past
what,
that.
Right? I might got a memory like a goldfish.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
menopausal, right? And this, I don't know when we're talking about hormones.
Yeah, yeah.
Trust me, as a woman, when you get to that age,
Yeah.
it's a flipping nightmare.
Yeah.
Because we've got fish bones, and it does happen.
So Catherine, the reason is because in philosophy, this is actually called the Socratic method, which is you hear someone's view, you question until they reach a question. They reach a bit. They go, you know what? Either I don't know, or actually, you know what? I'm going to reevaluate my thinking. That's
I
why.
always reevaluate my thinking. I never
But that's the thing.
No. But I never walk away from anything.
Yeah.
When I've had a conversation with somebody where I don't evaluate what somebody has to say.
But I'm not here to trip you up, Catherine. Please.
Look, you can't trip me up anyway because I know who I am and
No
I'm
problem.
quite confident in.
So let's
Yeah, but
follow
not
this.
obviously you want me to basically tell you it on a moralistic value where I come from, because obviously it's harder for you to understand me because I don't follow a certain set of scripture. And I understand that's probably where the sticking point is.
I'll tell you what it was, Catherine. Normally in philosophy, when people want to distinguish between two schools of thoughts of philosophy, utilitarianism or deontological, that school of thought, the trolley problem is brought forth.
Yeah.
But then your response was that I need something practical. Then I went to the water.
Yeah.
Then you said that, you know what, that's an ideal. Again, it wasn't this is my stance. Like, I'm curious to see that if I push you enough, just like I said to you, push me enough, would you reach a end? Is there a wall there? I just want to see what your wall is.
Oh, you want to know what my barrier is?
Yeah, I just want to see what that wall is.
Quite openly, and it goes back to earlier when I said the
So here's the
conversation.
thing, Catherine. The question is linked to this. Sorry, be careful. There's a bike there.
Yeah.
The reason why I was saying this was that when it comes to incest, on what I know, it's because it's such a good example. When I find
it quite perverted personally.
It is.
It is quite offensive.
It
Basically trying to ask me if my daughter would.
No. But I made
you
this.
have to understand that's quite triggering.
But
And
Catherine,
not that I'm saying that I'm triggered.
I know.
But it's a very.
It is. But Catherine, do you remember me saying that I'm going to use this example for somebody else, not for yourself?
No, I know. But the thing is that
But you brought it to yourself,
but
isn't it?
Yeah, because I can't help anything other than look right. It's very, very hard for you to externalise yourself and put yourself into somebody else's shoes and how they would make choices.
But that's
because
higher level of consciousness and morality, isn't
a
it?
very high level of
Empathetic.
consciousness, yeah.
You have to
I
empathise.
am very, very empathetic as a person. I do try and see all sides, but I'm never going to be able to put myself into an understanding because it logically. This is just the way I think. This isn't anything to do with anything. This is just the way I think. I can't logically put myself there into that moral.
I got you. So it's how you maneuver around such conversations. If you feel uncomfortable, it's fine. We don't have to pursue this. If you feel that we can pursue it a little bit, just so I know.
You can push me. I'm not happy to be pushed.
Okay.
Because obviously, as you see, I'm not coming. Like I've said, it's quite a triggering conversation.
Yeah.
You're not seeing me react in a triggered way.
Okay, fantastic. Because that wasn't my intention.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's reasons as to why it's triggering for me, as you can probably understand.
I wouldn't be happy to hear something like that either.
No, but it is personally, which is something I can't talk about on camera.
Okay.
But there's a reason.
I got you. I read between the lines.
Thank you.
So, should we move on to another example?
I mean, there's just all I'm getting in this conversation.
I'll give you another example. So,
Look, but the thing is,
shall I summarize?
Wait, all in this conversation is hypotheticals, right? At the end of the day, I understand, as I was saying earlier, I understand other people's plight and other people's need for community and need for religion and need for guidance.
I'm not going to religion yet.
No, but there are people that need guidance. Like we've
That's
talked
fine.
about, right, a
Yeah.
lot, is that we are very different people. We have different experiences. I don't live my life that way.
Catherine, I'll tell you why we give analogies and thought experiments, because this is prevalent even in philosophy as well. Because we have limited experiences, and as we progress, as we progress in life, we are going to encounter more and more experiences, and thought experiments help put us on a moral standing with regards to how to think in certain situations.
Because the thing is the way that we are
Yeah.
shows who you are.
Exactly.
In certain situations.
So here's the thing. Asking a question that, do you think it's okay to ever kill innocent people in combat?
I don't think it's okay.
So there was a Gallup poll that was done.
It's called genocide, isn't it?
So different religions
As
were
I said,
asked.
I'm a humanitarian.
So different groups, they were asked. Christians were asked, Jews were asked, different religions were asked. Is it okay in any situation to kill an innocent person in combat? The highest percent, 78% of religious people said no, and they were Muslims. They were the highest from the other faiths. Now, somebody could say,
You've all done your you've got a lot of different people have done these kinds of acts in the name of religion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's from somebody of religion. I do see the differentiating.
Very good. Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, the name of religion is an excuse to say that it's okay to do it.
So Catherine, here the thing is, as such, they may not have ever killed an innocent person or a child or something, but when their country gets invaded and certain rhetoric gets put forward, then morals change, boundaries change, people's views change.
I know. I mean, my country itself was taken over, and it was
absolutely
stolen.
Absolutely. And you're fighting for your language, you're fighting for your culture, you're fighting for a lot of things.
Yes, a lot of things. And I don't think people realise.
They don't. It's because the Welsh are very, I would say, comparatively speaking, more passive compared to the English.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's
because the thing is we like our own country a lot of the time, and we don't necessarily. A lot of Welsh people don't tend to leave. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
But it's a different way of life.
It really is. Absolutely.
I don't think people understand it though.
So here's the thing, Catherine. With those examples, I'll tell you just for ease of conversation. The way that conversation would have gone was that, ultimately speaking, the incest example would have gone as such. The only way an atheist or an agnostic can prove that incest is wrong is that they would say, if you do have a child, there would be deformities.
That's not the argument that I would go down personally.
But that's their best argument.
Yeah.
So then
I'm not atheist.
I know. So then the caveat that we then provide is use a condom. No, but if the person is young, then you're coercing them and this and that. So okay, if both of them are over 18, what would you say? An average atheist, which you're not, would say, you know what, there is nothing that we can say is wrong in that situation. Why? Because they are two consenting adults and they are doing something that they deem to be correct and right.
But it's against the law. I mean, because that's the environment I've grown up in a country where that is against the law. So obviously that's going to be part of my morals.
Of course. But we all know it used to be against the law for homosexuality. It used to be against the law for, certain clothing in certain. So laws change constantly.
Oh, they do, depending on the person in power and the power that they hold. Let's be fair, the society, the way that it shows at the moment, how crazy it is. You've only got to look at the world leaders at the moment, right? Let's be fair, it is insane. It's completely insane. None of it makes sense. Make it make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? Where these people in power are abusing their position. I mean,
I'll show you my cards. Where this conversation would have gone and what I wanted to achieve from this conversation. If I was to show you my cards, the conversation ultimately would have gone with an average person. That, you know what?
I'm not an average person. That's where you made a little bit of a mistake.
Well, and that's why, Catherine, I wanted to see what you said, But obviously, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable in this conversation. I want you to leave with a higher vibration and happy that, you know what, it was good.
Like I said, I'm quite happy to put a point across that if I'm not happy about talking about something, I'm not going to stand here and allow it to happen.
So in conversations...
Like I said, I don't let anything upset my peace.
Yeah, well, I think that is very important nowadays, especially with the way things are. Not in an absolute sense, but...
I know myself enough to know what my triggers are.
Yeah.
So therefore, I can communicate that with another person. Whether another person presses on that, that's on them. And they are triggering me on purpose. As soon as I've displayed and said, look, this is a very triggering subject for me, then it's on you. It's not on me anymore.
Yeah. So the thing in these situations ultimately is that an individual would say that, you know what, in this scenario and situation, incest is fine. Why? Because you have consenting adults that want to do it. If they are under a jurisdiction that allows it, they are. In some Scandinavian countries, Catherine, bestiality is okay for you to have intercourse with.
Did you see the case as well recently with that couple talking about bestiality?
No.
Oh my goodness, there was a guy that coerced his wife and filmed his wife having sex with a dog. And it's just been in court. She's got 9 months in prison, but he's got longer. But I mean, she was saying that she was under coercion.
Oh damn.
And that's why she did sexual acts on a dog. Yeah, it's quite prevalent actually, the subject right now.
So then the question arises of consent as well. That
This
I
is
mean,
exactly what
which pitch of wolf counts as consent when you're trying to, do you see?
That's why it's a problem, because there is no consent. Because how can you get consent off somebody that doesn't speak your own language?
Another example, which is probably less triggering, that I like to use is that of cannibalism. That let's just say we are plunged in a world war. Yeah, desperation on a desert island somewhere.
Just wasn't it with the survivors of that plane crash? Yeah.
Absolutely. Morally.
I watched that film actually. Do you know much about that? The cannibalism, when they started eating each other and they actually gave consent before they died whether they could eat them or not.
Was it on a boat?
No, it was a plane. It was a plane crash in. Oh, I can't think of the place. Oh, I've forgotten where they was when they crashed, but basically they actually gave consent before they died if they were allowed to eat them or not.
Okay.
To survive. They did some of them did survive.
I'll Google it. I'll type in plane cannibalism.
Plane crash cannibalism, yeah. You will look them up.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So now the point that it comes down to, Catherine, is the morality of said individual boils down to this, which is if pleasure outweighs pain, in my worldview it's good. That an atheist love is called the harm principle. If harm outweighs pleasure, then I consider it bad. But then the issue with this is, what if we start moving these goalposts and boundaries like we've done with incest, like we've done with cannibalism, and like we did with microbacteria and stuff like that? Can we say that we are better than that life form?
No.
Just because there is a size difference? Just because some would argue yes, some would argue no.
Yeah, I understand that. Me, no.
So
I don't see myself any higher than anything, including the tree. Because it's a cycle, because it's a source of life.
So then I think next time let's continue from here, because I think now that you know, I'm not doing gotcha moments with you. I genuinely want to see how far I can take your view of my piece. If it was to be extrapolated, I want to see how much.
I'm never going to be able to understand what that is, because the thing is, it doesn't matter how much I communicate it or whatever. We've experienced life very, very differently.
Yeah.
I can tell you how I've achieved it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how your piece is, and it's very hard for me to describe to another what my piece is, because it's very intuitive. It's me.
So Catherine, let's end with this. What would you say if you were to advise people in general for them to follow a moral framework? This is in your opinion, by the way, and your experience. What would you tell them as a moral framework?
Do you know, the first and foremost, personally, that I think is accountability, and being aware of the repercussions that your actions can have on another, and therefore adjusting yourself where necessary to ensure that you are not actually purposefully going out and causing harm. I think that's the basic.
Okay.
That's the basic. Easily. Because as soon as you take an accountability, then your awareness is quite high in regards to what's going on.
So would you say stuff like lying is wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. I think that's a strong word to put to it. I think some people are lying to themselves. So a lot of the times when they're telling lies to another, it's because they want to believe the words that they're saying, because they don't want to feel the shame of the truth. And I think that's where the problem lies.
That's interesting, because I thought that your line of reasoning was going down more the consequentialist point of view, which is, typically speaking, that if a principle was to be extrapolated and if it caused widespread harm, then it's regarded as wrong. For example, lying. If lying...
the thing is like... The concept of wrong or right is quite hard for me, because to be able to view it like that means I've got to format a judgment of a situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I try not to format judgments, which is why I treat people as I want to be treated, because, as I said, I am only responsible for self. I can't and don't know what somebody else has experienced that's taken to that point in time of where they might come at me with aggression. I have no knowledge of any of that. So therefore, I can't really judge how or what took them to that position. Because a lot of the time I think what we're doing is in society is we're living in a society with a lot of disturbed people that have got a lot of trauma, that are very afraid, living in a concept of fear constantly. And I think that takes them further away from themselves, which is like, as you said, they lead it to them lying and so forth, because they don't want to face themselves, they don't want to meet themselves, they don't want to know why they do the things they do, because that means taking accountability.
So on the back of that, would you say if your friends come to you for advice, you would not give them advice saying, look...
I give them advice, but the first thing that I tell them is, don't forget, this is coming from my perspective and my experience.
How do they know your experience?
Because, well, I don't have a big circle of friends, but the friends that I do have know my life, because I'm very lucky that I'm in... My friendships don't come with judgments.
But this was something that you said to me as well, like, I can never know you, and this is... Thomas Nagel said the same thing with regards to bats. He said, as human beings, we could never know what a bat goes through and how it experiences the world. So bearing this in mind, if your friend is asking you for advice, how can you ever give them any advice which is going to be cohesive for them? Because they've never experienced what you've experienced. They know of your experience, but not your experience.
No, exactly. So which is why they understand this from a perspective. So when I tell them or give them advice, I say, this is what I would do for me. You're basically a person then can take from that whatever it is that they want.
Okay.
If it's something that moralistically sits with them and think, oh yeah, actually that's a really good idea, then that's their responsibility. It's not my responsibility to tell them.
You just share your experience.
I just share my experience.
Okay.
It's pointless in me trying to tell somebody how it is for them, because I don't know.
So I know I said this before, and I said the final thought, and I regret continuing because I started getting juicy again. There's one last thing, forgive me. You mentioned with regards to politics, you said, because such thing is the law. Do you believe the law is correct, all aspects?
Not always, no.
So shouldn't...
The thing is, the system that we live in, I think it's pretty evident it doesn't work. I think the way that the world is right now, and the way that everybody is so divided and so hateful, it just goes to show the system that we live in doesn't work.
So wouldn't you be going against your principles by living under a governance that goes against your principles, that forces you to do stuff?
But I have to, because that's where I am. That's my reality. Because the thing is, right, no matter how much I kind of try to want to say this is the world that I want to live in, the reality of it is I live in this society. You know what I mean? I'm not delusional saying I'm not going to take part in this because it's where I live. It's the cards that have been dealt. It's not, it's not on me.
Yeah. Catherine, I must say towards the last quarter of this discussion, I really liked it because I really wanted to understand how you. Well, once the barriers went down a little bit.
But it's like,
that's when
I do have them.
I know.
I've had many conversations. It's
Yeah.
always about trying to lead me to tell me how I'm wrong.
I know.
And that's not what I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
And I do understand. It's like I said, I do understand people's need for what it is to follow a certain religion. For me personally, it's not a need. But that's because I do hold myself in high value with high expectations.
Fantastic. Catherine, as always, it was a pleasure.
Sorry, it was very long-winded.
No. It's in order to have conversations. Sometimes they need to be long-winded because it's the stream of consciousness, and sometimes you need to invest in the person to get them relaxed with you, so you can get to the juice.
Like I said, I've got, you know what I mean, circumstances. It's like I said before. You said about the last conversation that I had been triggered.
Yeah, you had.
And I was a little bit worked out. I mean, you probably see the difference now, whereas I'm not.
With that last one, I had to spend like half an hour.
I know,
showing you that.
But the thing is,
I'm not like them.
When I'm in a triggered position about a certain subject, that's exactly what.
You've got adrenaline going around your system.
I'm in survival mode.
Yeah, there you go. Breathing, just practice the breathing.
Of course. But the thing is, I didn't take it out on you.
Of course.
Which
Catherine,
is what a lot of people do. They loaded bullets.
They do.
Guns.
They do. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we meet again. I'm just going to take the mic off you if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Enjoyed it.
You too. Sorry.